tech solutions for the apparel industry. We're going to be talking about that with my guest, Leslie O'Regan. She is a supply chain professional in the apparel industry with an expertise in technology. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and thank you so much for sitting down with me to talk about this issue. In the apparel industry, what do you see as the major challenges in technology adoption?
So thanks for having me. Some of those areas that I think we see in the apparel industry is there's a speed component. We're in a fast fashion industry. You're talking about seasonal changes with your industry. You get spring, winter, fall, summer. All those clothing lines means we have to change them out very quickly. You have quick turns of inventory. You're moving it quickly through, and you also have that need to deliver it to the customer much more quickly than we used to.
Right.
The rise of e-commerce has made, and unfortunately the Amazon effect has required all apparel industry and retailers to kind of jump up and say, how do I get this item to my customer faster so that they'll buy from me instead of buying it from Amazon? So what we see is there's a need for speed in the apparel industry that is slow to catch up from a logistics and supply and tech solution perspective.
That's interesting. We've been talking about fast, quote unquote, fast fashion forever.
Right.
But it ain't so fast when it comes down to the material handling and the distribution part, right?
Correct. And that's
Interesting.
in the industry, inside the distribution center and even in the manufacturing facilities, it's finding the quickest way to create and deliver these solutions and move them through quickly. You're talking pennies on the dollar on margin on some of these items.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a lot to play with as far as how much it costs to handle that item from the moment it arrives in the port to the moment it's delivered to the customer. And so you're always looking for faster ways to automate and decrease costs in how you handle these items.
Technology is such a big word. What are we talking about? What types of systems, software, hardware, conveyors, warehouse control? I mean, tell me what we're talking about here.
We're talking about WCS, WES, WMS, OMS, TMS. Those are just the software solutions that kind of live inside the warehousing world. But along with, like you said, the mechanical solution, conveyor belts, automated shuttles, picking systems, robotics has reached in and kind of come onto the scene here very quickly. All tied in with the old school original, there's a person here. There is a human element still that is, and today, human elements sometimes are still faster. We have a lot of situations where we can't get a human to do the job, but a robot is just too slow, and a robot is inflexible. So there is a challenge with not only the speed, but the flexibility and the ability to pivot, right? So today, I want to sell big, fluffy sweaters that go in big boxes, and tomorrow, I'm going to sell swimsuits in a tiny little box. Robots will still take a little while to struggle with that difference until you teach them and they learn. Humans, hey, go pack the small box tomorrow. I'm packing the big box today. I'm packing the small box tomorrow. It's easy.
Same robot?
If it were the same, the robots can get there, but they're not there yet.
Right. Okay, true or false? Executives in distribution and apparel are doing a fantastic job of evaluating and adopting technology for their operations.
A little bit of true and a little bit of false.
Okay.
It's a little bit true in that I see a lot of executives really do want to find ways to save money, and they understand that technology can be a big component of that. It provides a static cost, right? The cost of labor is constantly fluctuating. Salaries go up, salaries go down, the cost of temp labor changes, the industry support all kind of flexes in and out. Whereas once I pay a static amount for a robot, eventually minus the cost of just maintaining it, it depreciates as an asset and it's a fixed amount of money. And once it's paid off, I'm making a ton of money on that little robot because I've paid for it.
Once it's paid off.
Once it's paid off.
Yeah.
The false piece is the support of not understanding kind of the support of those technologies once they go into play, right? So while I might be replacing 4 or 5 individuals on the floor as far as how I process orders and get a static UPH, I still might have to hire a technology specific person. I might have to go find that college grad or that industry specific trained person to maintain said robot. So they do have a certain amount of maintenance, and that is a gap we're seeing in most executives everywhere that I talk to is they don't understand the cost of maintaining automation solutions, both from a software perspective and from a hardware
They
perspective.
just think, hey, fewer people, I'm good, right?
Right. And we really don't talk about, how many other people should I be bringing on or specifically trained? Let me rephrase. I'm going to bring in specifically trained people. Do I need more maintenance people to do maintenance on the hardware? Do I need to bring in a different type of operation person who might understand this technology better? Do I need to upskill them? Do I need more IT people so when the bugs hit, which are inevitable, or I need to change how the software works, there's somebody to be able to do that. And I'm seeing that struggle in most of the industries that I've worked in, and most of the C-suite people is we buy the new shiny toy, it works amazing and that's great, but we don't bring in enough people to then support it, to make sure it's running at the 99% uptime we want in our building.
This assumes, of course, that such individuals are out there and available for hiring. Is that in fact the case?
They're there, but they are there, but we're finding that balance strike between I still want to have that remote person, but realistically, I need that person on site as well. So we have to we might have to get back to that incentivized relocation program that kind of went away during COVID, right? Nobody was relocating people to do the job in the office. We have to kind of reset that expectation for people in supply chain that you might have to be in the office person or in a position to go into these buildings. You can get them to travel there. Don't get me wrong, remote support has improved immensely over the years. I can remote into systems, I can VPN in. They've provided so many different ways to, camera technology, I can go see my operation, but you're still going to need some boots on the ground. And there's still a disconnect between the college graduate who might be trained in computer software. Some schools are offering supply chain and logistics degrees. People are more classically trained in these technical support roles. Still, we're struggling to get them to the locations. And some of these locations, let's be honest, are kind of crummy. I'm not going to lie. Some warehouses are usually way out there in cheap land, in little towns. Not everybody wants to do that when they're young. And so we're getting them there has been a struggle. Finding some way to help them do remote support or going back to some of those traveling jobs, having to travel every week. It's a cost, but it's a cost of doing business.
Well, that may be changing a little, Leslie. Isn't it the case that there are so many different kinds of warehouses popping up now in terms of location and size, not just the gigantic regional warehouse, but the micro-fulfillment center and the urban centers for faster, again, in apparel, faster, shipping. Okay, so the problem I see, and I wonder if the technology is changing so fast, especially in the software side. At what point do you put a pin in it and say, I'm buying this system, and then out of fear that that it's going to extend beyond that, and you're getting something old and out of date? Or how do you deal with that?
Yep. So what we've seen, the trend I've been seeing with a lot of the software vendors is they're becoming more cloud-based and more SaaS-based. And what that does give you is that flex of, more of those evergreen solutions. So once you buy it, you're going to constantly get more of those upgrades. The cloud does offer us that type of technology and be able to kind of continue to grow at the speed we need to grow. And to your point, I'm not going to ever put a pin in it because I'm going to get the newest version and the newest version, the newest version.
Right.
That helps you kind of self-sustain. That being said, from a need for speed perspective, this is the counterpoint though. If we have on-prem solutions, we will always be challenged with kind of keeping up with the latest and greatest version of the software. And that again goes back to having the right tech support on my own staff that can support those solutions.
You say if it's on premises, and a lot of these warehouse solutions now in the cloud.
Well, and that's the problem is the cloud solutions aren't fast enough yet. So again, back to that need for speed, you need microseconds and milliseconds of response time for these conveyor belt systems to work and redirect things.
And the file system may actually be
slow.
Much. Wow.
It's too slow. It's too slow. And so we're still kind of bolstering some of those latency issues with on-prem solutions to balance out the cloud need. So you're seeing a trend of, warehouse management systems, OMSs, and even some TMSs sitting up in the cloud layer, and they do just fine. But WES solutions, PLC level style solutions, big shuttle systems still have an on-prem server that kind of provides the buffering, so to speak, between waiting for what the cloud solutions deliver and then the executable pieces stay in the warehouse.
So let's say, what is your advice to distribution operations that really want to make a smart investment in technology, especially in apparel, make all the right moves, have the best ROI, the best efficiency, best productivity? What should they be doing?
There's never a best solution. There's a best solution for you. So it's evaluating your day to day. What do I need today to keep my business running and get out of the gate for the next year? Then also really having the vision of how do I want to fulfill my orders 10 years from now? And make sure that the system I'm purchasing, whether it's the shuttle or it's a conveyor system, it's a WMS, it's a WES, look at what it's going to do for you in 10 years. Can it still do where I think I'm going to pivot it? And then the second piece is look for some of that flexibility. Change is the only thing that's inevitable in all of these solutions. So make sure your system has enough flex to scale up scale down, scale this way, scale that way, spin up this new thing, spin down this new thing, and get yourself the right support people. So make sure your operations and your tech support folks are kind of looking at everything going, yeah, I could support that. Yeah, we could make this change. Yeah, we could say, I'm going to pivot to this later, and I think I could do it. Now, and be ready to invest in your people and invest in the solution, and then work on making it work for you.
I love it that on the demand side, especially in fast fashion, you're talking about the obsession of what's happening like right now, and you're telling us to look 10 years in the future when
Right.
it comes to automation adoption. How interesting. You got to do both, huh?
You do, and you have to put in a solution that you know can pivot for that, or can, if I look back at what it looked like 10 years ago, or, I started coming to this show, the ProMed show here in 2006. It used to just be the North Hall with 5 people and the Kiva robots. That was it. Now they're gone. But I've got 30, 40, 50 new robot vendors who are doing something similar or different or enhanced.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how quickly it changes, but all of them are filling different gaps, and you have to kind of look and say,
No excuse for doing nothing, though. That's for sure.
I know, there's no excuse for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And at some point, you also might have to admit you're going to pick wrong, right? Everybody's put in a solution once in a while that isn't right, but it felt right for the time. So doing strong evaluation and then choosing whatever solution you're going to have to live with it for a while. It's like a marriage, right? Don't sit there and just get into bed quickly. Do your evaluation, do it right. You're going to be with some of these solutions 10, 15, 20 plus years. Think of it like you're getting married. Make sure you know the person you're going to get in bed with, right?
Hey, I got it. Thank you so much, Leslie. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking
Thank
to
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
I've been speaking with supply chain professional Leslie O'Regan. Thank you very much for watching.